child, your grace abounds to me. Oh, sorry. Didn't mean for that to be on there. You caught me. Well, welcome to Drunk Theology, and welcome Drunk Theology fans. I'm glad you're here with me today. I'm the Reverend C.H. Brown, known to you as Chaz, and I'm coming to you again from the beautiful sanctuary of Emmanuel Church, Assembly of God in Arcadia, California. Pastor Tom has been so kind to allow me to come in here and shoot some of my videos. And what's really cool is that they have a beautiful, fabulous concert grand piano here. It's actually a Yamaha C7, but it's glorious. Love playing it. Didn't mean for you to catch me, but be that as it may. All right, well, before we move on, please go ahead and click the subscribe button. If you haven't already subscribed, you're watching this on YouTube, click the bell notification as well. If you're listening to this on a podcast, just feel free to listen and enjoy and go wherever your podcast platform is and come and tune in with me. And you'll hear that. Also remember my Patreon. If you want to support the ministry of Drunk Theology, please go to my Patreon page and make whatever donation. It goes to the furtherance of this ministry. And also, if you remember, drunktheology101.com, and that's where I do book reviews. Speaking of such, I want to go ahead and delve into that today. I'm going to leave our normal format of revelations for this week, and we'll pick up on that next week because we got some great things in line for you there. But I want to remind you about drunktheology101.com, and remember that that is a place for conversation. That is a place where you can read some book reviews that I'm beginning to put up. I know that I've been laxed in that, but it's because it's something totally new and I'm still adjusting to that. But you're going to be finding some book reviews there on Heinz Feats and High Places. Welcome any conversation on that there online. All you do is just sign up with your email, and you're able to go ahead and participate in any conversation. But for those of you here today, I want to go ahead and let you know what we're going to be covering today is another book review. And this one is on this book here, and it has a cute little cover. It is called Animal Farm. Animal Farm by George Orwell. That's an old book. It's over 50 years old. And you say, why are you doing a book review on it now? Well, the reason I'm doing a book review on it is because there is another book I'm going to be doing a book review on here in the near future, probably in the next week or two. And it is a book called In Order to Live by Yeonmi Park. And Yeonmi Park is an escapee from North Korea. It is a horrendous testimony. I listened to her interview with Dr. Jordan Peterson, and it was hard to get through that interview. It was really a really difficult time to go through that. But I wanted to read the book. But it was because of what she said in the book, which was that the first book that she read once upon being freed was Animal Farm. And she said it answered all of her questions as to understand what had happened to her country, what had happened to North Korea. Said it answered everything. I thought, wow, that's really interesting. You know, I'm familiar with the album Animals by Pink Floyd, which I had thought for years and years was basically the story, but it isn't. Theirs is just an inspiration. They borrowed the caricature, as it were, or, you know, of that George Orwell laid out. And they copied that to tell their story. But in his book, Animal Farm, he uses animals as an allegory to depict what he perceived to be the greatest evil, and is still considered to be the greatest evil in our world today. And it's interesting, he had a difficult time getting this little book published. This little book, Animal Farm, as well known as it is, had a difficult time being published. And the reason it was difficult to publish it was because it was to hit too close to home. because everyone said, you're just criticizing the communists, you're just criticizing the Stalin regime. And while that may be true, that's where he got his inspiration from, and mind you, George Orwell was a liberal, he was not conservative by any stretch of the imagination, but he wrote this critique in this book against socialism and communism. And he used the Stalin regime, which he was very familiar with, as the pattern, and put it in these categories of these animals. And the animals all depict different classifications of people and the type of persons that they are. And it is amazing what has gone on in this book, what he writes here, because it reflects so much of today. It really does. You know, history repeats itself. History is known to repeat itself. And so we find that there are things that we can look at. And at this book, if you read it, and you can look at what's going on in our world today and say, wow, that's really scary. There's this one excerpt. I would love to have marked it. I probably should have marked it a little better. It just like totally. Let me just kind of explain the scenario. In the scenario, the pigs are in charge of all the other animals on this farm, and because they've run off the humans, and so here they are. They are. Can you hear that? I'm sure you can. So we're going to start this whole thing all over again. Okay, and we're back. So we took that little short break for our landscaping friends. Need to keep the church looking beautiful. So, as I was saying, the animals are in charge. They've run off the humans, and they are in charge of the farm because they feel like their labor has been taken advantage of by the humans, and so they are now running the farm. And so they've run them off, and the pigs are now in charge because they are the most intelligent of the animals, and so they are running everything. And some of the other animals kind of notice, hey, you know, some of the food is missing. There's some things that are missing, and they were kind of concerned about this. And they started to bring it up to one of the pigs there. And so here's a line here. It says, "Comrades," he cried, "you do not imagine, I hope, that we pigs are doing this in a spirit of selfishness and privilege. Many of us actually dislike milk and apples. I dislike them myself. Our sole subject in taking these things is to preserve our health. Milk and apples, and this has been proven by science, comrades, contain substance absolutely necessary for the well-being of a pig." That line caught me off guard, and this has been proved by science. And that's what we've been getting here during this pandemic time, is follow the science, to the place where science is becoming a religion in and of itself, and nothing can be said against it. And that's what's being set up here. And what Orwell was trying to depict was, there are certain mechanics that take place that lead a nation down a socialist path, then down to a communistic path. And one of the other interesting things, as you get to like chapter 8 and 9, they start noticing that the rules, the laws that started being changed to favor the pigs and not the population. And eventually they become a communist regime. And so it's interesting. I could see why Orwell probably had problems getting it published in his day, but it's an education to us to keep an eye out as to what's going on in our society, what's going on in the world. There's new talk in Washington of a possible shutdown for climate, since now we're so used to being shut down. I don't know if that'll happen. I hope the American people say, sorry, no. But it's always, as I've said throughout the Revelation series, this is a progressive mind control to get us used to the end times, to that time when the Antichrist will actually be able to take over. It's a massaging of the mentality and the soul of the of people, and I think that's an excellent book. But it was pointed out to me by this young lady here again. In order, tremendous testimony. I encourage you, go pick one up. That way we have some great conversation online about that. I hear people's feedback on Animal Farm, but I really want to see how people respond to this young lady's. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. And as far as I understand, she's not a believer. So it's not about Christianity or anything like that. It's a horrendous regime that she was under and is supported by so many athletes today. It's crazy. It's a crazy world that we live in. You know, as my wife always points out to me, the scripture says, you know, in the last days, they will call good evil and evil good. And we're seeing a lot of that play out, and we need to be prayerful about it. Anyway, that's what I wanted to leave you with this week. Just a book review. Remember, go to www. I don't think you need to say that anymore. drunktheology101.com. That's drunktheology101.com. Put your email in. Join in on the conversation, and let's talk about these things. Until then, I will see you next week. We'll continue with the book of Revelation, and God bless you. Keep healthy, keep safe. Shalom.